Of fantastic moments from a fantastic race. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Scott Cooper. I'm the Vice President of Communications at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And on behalf of our President and General Manager, Marcus Smith, it is my pleasure to be here at Bristol today, 30 days out from the 30th anniversary of the biggest all-star event in professional sports, the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race, which will run on Saturday night, May the 16th. Now, joining me on stage is our first winner of the All-Star Race, NASCAR Hall of Famer Darrell Waltrip, and also our most recent winner from 2014, the driver of the #1 McDonald's Cessna Chevrolet, Jamie McMurray. In 1985, the first All-Star Race was run after the Busch Series race at Charlotte Motor Speedway on a Saturday afternoon, preceding Sunday's Coca-Cola 600. And it propelled old DW, crew chief Jeff Hammond, and team owner Junior Johnson toward quite a historic weekend. Let's take a look back.
Darrell Waltrip, a hand in the air, a wave to the crowd of 100,000 plus. He wins $200,000 and he blows up. What a Hollywood ending.
I tell you what, Junior Johnson will be glad to throw that in the garbage can.
Junior Johnson and his crew built Waltrip a 105-lap hand grenade.
It did just what we thought it would.
The motor blew right when I took the checker. It blew all to pieces. Dang, I love it.
How'd you like to have a weekend like this once in your life? Junior Johnson and Darrell Waltrip, what a combination.
Waltrip has the gas. He goes the distance and wins the World 600. Yesterday, he won the Winston as he took the checkered flag. The engine blew up. Today, he wins the World 600, and as he takes the checkered flag, he runs out of gas. Look at Darrell. Look at that grin.
They have had one rich weekend. And Jeff Hammond, the crew chief, what a fantastic weekend for this team.
I want to just thank the good Lord from the bottom of my heart for a beautiful weekend. I couldn't be more humble than to say that I'm certainly appreciative of what has happened this weekend.
So DW, you actually won the first ever Cup sweep in May at Charlotte. Tell us what your favorite memories are looking back to that first All-Star race.
Well, it wasn't blowing up when the race ended, I can tell you that, although it seemed to be, it just seemed to be almost scripted that way. And I've told this story many times, and I think it's worth telling again, though. I drove for Junior, and that car, that engine, that race, Junior had a lot to do working with Ralph Seagraves and T. Wayne Robinson and all the people at R.J. Reynolds. They had this vision for a all-star race like that, and so Junior was determined to win that race. We built a car, a special car, just like they do today. Maybe it didn't have a special paint job, but it was a really special car. We took it to the wind tunnel a number of times, which was unique, and we didn't do that a lot back in the day. We tested that car at Charlotte. That engine, Junior Johnson built that engine. And if you think about the history of Junior Johnson, what do you remember about him? Driving that white #3 Chevrolet with that 427 mystery engine. It hardly ever finished a race. But when it did, it would haul butt. And Junior, I'll never forget, Junior said, look, this thing it's not going to live long. So you're going to have to watch your practice laps. He said, this thing will run a couple of 100 miles. That's going to be about it. Because the rods were light, the pistons were light, everything in the engine was light. So when it blew up, it shocked me because I didn't expect it, but it didn't surprise me once it was over with. But there's a lot of, I could tell you this, the whole weekend was crazy. We decided we wanted to run that car in the 600. We'd already qualified fourth with another car for the 600. And overnight, we thought we could run that car in the 600. So we took the engine out of the car that had qualified fourth and put it in the all-star car and was ready to put that car on the line Sunday morning when Dick Beatty came to us and said, you can't change cars. We thought they said you could have a backup car, but you had to wreck your car in the all-star race to be able to go to that backup car. And so we didn't know that, or at least we didn't know that. So we had this car ready to go on the line, and they came and said, you can't race that car. You have to race the car you qualified.
What happened with Junior then? What did he do?
Junior said, load it up. We're going home. He said, there's no way we can change the engine back and put it in the car and get it on the line in time to make the race. And besides that, I won't use all the expletive delete that he put through in there, but they told us we could do that, and now they tell us we can't. He said, load it up. We're going home.
But that would have made quite a dent in your chances for winning the championship that year, obviously, if you hadn't been able to compete in the 600.
Well, Junior was kind of notorious for wanting to do things like that, but we talked him off the cliff, and we told him we can get the car, we'll put the engine back in, we'll get the car on the line, and that was really, it turned out to be motivation. They got the car on the line just in time to start the race, and of course we won the race. So it turned out to be motivation because we were determined we were going to win that race on Sunday just like we did on Saturday. So it was a crazy weekend. That was a heck of a weekend, and then the 600 was also your first win that season. Well, that was why I was in Victory Circle. That's why you hear me. I mean, you heard in my voice how grateful I was because we had struggled. We'd been having, Bill Elliott was kicking our butt every week. Bill would win. We might run second or third, but Bill was winning all the races, and so to be able to come in there and win that race on Saturday and turn around and win again on Sunday, and that kick-started our championship drive. From there, we really got better, and we won a few other races along the way, but that was really the start of our season. We'd struggled up till then. Very big weekend for UDW. Now, Jamie, while you, of course, won your first ever career Cup win at Charlotte in 2002, last year you still had to be considered kind of a dark horse going into the Sprint All-Star race. I'm sure that made it that much more gratifying when you took home that $1 million check. Let's take a look back to 2014.
It's a beautiful night here in Charlotte. Beautiful, cool, crisp night. Good for making horsepower.
Follow the money. It's $1 million. That's motivation.
Have a good night, guys. Have fun tonight.
Let's go for $1 million.
All right, bud. Take care of her. Just keep them in your mirror. That's all you got to do.
Kyle Busch, the leader in segment 1.
Here comes the green flag over segment number 2.
Stay down, down, down.
Whoa! Trouble turn 3.
Hard in the wall goes Kyle Busch and slammed into by Joey Logano. Hard in the wall. 3 cars and a flame goes Jeff Gordon.
Kevin Harvick once again has shown the muscle that it could be worth $1 million.
Kevin Harvick came in first and came out third. Jamie McMurray is second.
That is much pressure as you can put on a pit crew as ever. So I'm really proud of those guys to be able to have the pit stop that they did. When we got down to the last segment, I'm like, I have a chance to do this and I need to make the most of the opportunity.
Green flag laps only count in the final 10 laps. Here we go.
Go, baby. Go for $1 million.
And here comes McMurray on the outside. He's going somewhere.
They are trading paint. Edwards, McMurray for the win.
The mentality for me was I don't care if we wreck. I'm going to drive the car as hard as I can. I'm racing for literally for $1 million right now. And once I got in front of him, I'm like, it's over.
And one car is gone.
Is this really for $1 million?
Jamie McMurray wins the Sprint All-Star race.
Hell yeah, baby! Yes!
I look at it now, I'm like, I've won the 3 biggest races in our sport. Won the Daytona 500, Brickyard, and now I've won the All-Star race. It's the freaking most insane feeling in the world.
I'd like to point out that I was a little bit intoxicated when I was doing that interview from the champagne that night. It's a really fun race. That's the first word that comes to mind for me. Is just that whole weekend is laid back. It's intense, but it's also a lot of fun, and it's one of the 2 races throughout the year that there's no points, and everybody's just kind of all out all weekend. So it's a really good event.
Last year in the post-race, you talked a lot about Carter. You talked about what you were going to do with that money. You said he wanted a train. You were going to put some toward a college fund. Carter must have gotten a heck of a train, maybe.
Well, to me, the best part of that story is that Carter, my little boy, said he wanted a train, and after winning, I'm like, you're going to get a train. And the following week, my wife took him to Target to get a train, and they came home with a truck. He decided he didn't want a train when we got to Target. So I ended up getting a few trains, though, from some Lionel sent one over, and another toy shop there in Concord sent one over, and it's been really fun with the fans because the fans thought that was cool. The fact of my little boy wanting, he had $1 million, he'd want a train, and I still answer questions today. People ask me about what kind of train he had, or what he got. So it's been a good story.
Now, looking ahead to this year, we've had some changes to the format. We've added another 20 laps to the race, 5 laps to each of the first 4 segments. Still a 10-lap shootout at the end. And in addition, we've already got a couple of additional automatic qualifiers in now this year. Past All-Star Race champions Matt Kenseth and Ryan Newman will be in the field. So we know as of right now we'll have at least 20 drivers competing for that $1 million prize on May the 16th. DW, talk a little bit about these changes and kind of what this could mean for the fans in the stands and those watching on FS1 this year.
Yeah, how many of you were at that first race in 1985? 2? 2. So you were there, weren't you? Pay attention now. We're having a little press conference here. You were at that first All-Star race, right?
Yeah, and I knew you blew the motor at the end of the race.
Oh, so you knew all that. So you're just, I got you.
But it was great theater.
It was. But a little bit of history about that race. See, nobody knew if that race would catch on and still be around today or not. It was almost like an experiment. That Winston and R.J. Reynolds, those people, wanted to do. And the thing to remember about that afternoon, it was after the Xfinity race. And so it's the second race of the day and should have been the biggest race of the day, but it was not a standalone event like it is now. And R.J. Reynolds sent a 737 to Indianapolis because it was the weekend of the Indy 500. So they sent a plane up to Indianapolis and got all the media that wanted to come to the All-Star race and flew them down to Charlotte just so they could see the first All-Star race, to be a part of that first event. And so everything about that afternoon was unique and special and different. And like I said, nobody knew if it would catch on and last or not. Well, it's caught on and lasted, and we've gone through 1 million different formats. We've seen some of the most unbelievable racing, some of the most unbelievable wrecking, some of the most unbelievable things we could ever see in the All-Star race, and that's why it's important. It's a standalone event. I raced Saturday afternoon. I had to get in the car and race again Sunday for the 600. Now you can go over there and basically it's a weekend in and of itself, special event, pays a lot of money, and what as the race evolved, as the event evolved, it became like fan weekend. It was like a tribute to the fans. Charlotte Motor Speedway stepped up, and it's like you can come over there and you have concerts, you have pre-race shows. It's truly a unique event in the fact that there's no points, just a lot of money, and it's all for the fans. That was the thought process as the event moved forward. And I think at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, we moved at one time. That was a disaster. We went to Atlanta the second year. Bill Elliott, I mean, if you go to Atlanta back then and Elliott was in the field, you knew he was probably going to lap you, and he did. And that was, I think, on Mother's Day weekend maybe even. And so we decided that Charlotte was the right place for it to be, and it always has been, and I think it always should be. And the event's just one of the most exciting, and I think Jamie will tell you, it's one that the guys really look forward to. Die-cast business really grew out of the All-Star race, the unique paint jobs that people showed up with. Excuse me, whether it's Earnhardt's silver bullet that he almost took me out with, or whether it's my chrome car, or whether it was T-Rex, or whatever it has been, this race has created for our sport a really dramatic, exciting, unpredictable weekend that these guys can go over there, and when they go home, all they really care about is whether they won the $1 million or not. So adding laps, that's a bonus. You know, the 10-lap shootout, that's where it's all going to happen. And getting in a position to win that 10-lap shootout like Jamie did, that's what you're really trying to do all night long.
Jamie, do you think there's going to be much of a change in strategy with the extra laps? Anything about tire wear, how you're going to approach the race a little bit differently?
Well, I have to be honest, I don't 100% know the rules. I just heard you mention them, but the added laps might be a little bit different. We opted to do 2 tires, and I think we even stayed out one segment last year. So I don't know if you'll be able to do that same strategy again this year. You know, when you look at the All-Star race right now, it's not about winning every segment. It's about just getting the most points throughout the 3 or 4 segments that you have to get the best position to come in for that last pit stop. And then your pit crew has to do their part. And I like that. I think it's kind of cool that it involves the entire team. The qualifying is a little bit odd to me, but the way that you come down pit road based on your points for the last segment, then your pit crew has to put you back out in the place you're actually going to start. For us, that was really cool because we came in third, When we came out, we ended up beating, I guess, the 4-car, and it put us on the front row. And when you get to line up on the front row for the $1 million in 10 laps, you know you have a legitimate chance at winning. So I like the way that it comes down to the end, the 10 laps, and it's the entire team.
I think the other thing is cool. It's kind of a mixture of the old and the new, the past and the present, the way we qualify. I mean, that qualifying, when you come off the track full speed and come down into the pit box, that's what I remember. That's what we did everywhere we went, week in and week out. And to me, that's one of the most exciting qualifying sessions we have all year long, is to see who can get on pit road and get woed up, coming off a track at 100 and probably 60, 70 miles an hour, down on the pit road, catching gears, wah, 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 and getting it in the pit box and not running over somebody. That's pretty exciting.
Well, that's because he doesn't have to do it anymore. That's why it's exciting.
No, I get to watch now. But we used to watch it like that, and we used to stand on the trucks and say, he's not going to make it. He won't make it this time. He ain't going to make it. But they always seem to be able to do it.
Big weekend coming up at Charlotte. Our tickets for the entire Sprint All-Star Race weekend, including the Sprint Showdown, qualifying, the North Carolina Education Lottery 200, the All-Star Race, and even a Rayovac Presents Little Big Town pre-race concert, all of it together for the entire weekend start at just $99. No doubt it is the most entertaining weekend for the most affordable price in all of racing. We've got time for maybe one or two quick questions, and then we need to wrap up here. Let's go over to Stan.
Stan Creekmore with RPMtonight.com. Darrell, and it is also for you, Jamie. When you won this, $200,000 was almost that wasn't quite what you would need for a full year sponsorship, but it wasn't too far away either, was it? So how critical was that money for your team that year? And Jamie, how critical is it for your team when you win last year?
Yeah, well, let me put it in perspective for you. That's the most money I ever won in any event. The $200,000 that I won in the All-Star race, I won the Daytona 500 in 1989, only paid $175,000. So to win that All-Star race and then to back it up with another $150 the next day in the 600, that was a year for us. We really hit a home run that weekend. So I don't know how Junior felt about it, because we spent a lot of money building that car and testing it. But I know from a driver's perspective, that's the most money I ever won in any given weekend.
Well, I think it's a little different now. You know, we sell that race as an extra for a sponsor. Bass Pro has done that the last 3 or 4 years with me, and it's crazy for me to hear him say that it paid more than the Daytona 500, because the year I won the 500, it was like $1.8 million, I think.
Now that really ticks me. Now you didn't have to say that. Why'd you go there for?
All right, I think we've got time for one more.
Amazing. I won it for $1.8 million, but but it wouldn't have worked out for me, because see, it was all about the 17s, and I won $175,000, so that was $175. So just had to be that way. Couldn't have been $1.7 million, I don't guess. Oh, by the way, that's how much the total purse was in 1989, $1.7 million.
Wow. Well, one other thing that we've got this new coming up for the Sprint All-Star Race weekend. We've had a lot of fun in recent years with debuting some of our fun foods for the fans, and we've got some special editions to show you. I'm going to invite Belinda and Kyle and Megan to come over and show you what we've got this year. These will be served for the first time courtesy of our friends at Levy Restaurants for the Sprint All-Star Race weekend. We've got a 6.5-pound crankshaft burrito, and to the far right there, we've got a nearly 7-pound Speedway picnic burger. This is going to be served in the midst of a red-white tablecloth with all the utensils. It's got bacon cheeseburgers, hot dogs, barbecue, cheese, lettuce, and tomato on it. But the favorite, and this is what you all get to try today for lunch, for a little dessert, right in the middle, we've got candy bacon lollipops, and they are fantastic. These are premium slices of bacon that have been baked in a kind of a mixture of maple syrup and brown sugar with a little sriracha on there to give it a little bit of a kick. And they're going to be a big fan favorite. We're going to let you guys try these at lunch. So, DW, now speaking of bringing home the bacon, I've got something for you here.
I got to take a picture of this.
All right, really quick. Just a reminder.
I want to be sure and have plenty of Tums on me when
I know you cashed this check.
Oh, wow, look at that. That's just like the one I got in 1985.
A long time ago.
Does that mean I get 200 grand for being here today?
But you can also tell that we've come a long way.
Holy smoly.
For last year.
Did you have to do this? I mean, look at that. You should be ashamed.
And look, we actually went back and looked. Kevin Harvick, I think for second place last year, took home about $247,000.
Yeah, well, let me put this in perspective for you. It took 5 All-Star races for the 5 winners to make that much money. The first 5 winners, I think, finally got up to that amount of money. So, but that's a good thing. Quite honestly, I'm happy I won $200,000. That's the biggest payday I ever had. But I'm also happy that our sport is in the shape it's in, and we have the fan support and the sponsor support and everything else to be able to pay a winner of the All-Star race $1 million. I think that's a huge compliment to the sport and where it's come in not a very long period of time. So congratulations, man.
Hey, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in to kind of get us looking ahead to the 30th anniversary of the Sprint All-Star Race. We're going to take a couple of quick pictures here with the trophy and the checks, and we appreciate you coming in. Thanks, everyone.